My name is Jing. I'm the brand manager on Star Wars for Hasbro.
And I'm Chris. I'm design manager on Star Wars and Indiana Jones, but we're not here to talk about that today.
No, we're here to talk Star Wars. We're here to talk Star Wars. So, anyways, I will quickly go through and ask you guys to ask your questions. And I know you guys have some great questions, and we definitely want to get to them. So, first off, did you guys watch Ahsoka? Just curious.
Of course.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure because it's so exciting. We're busting at the seams to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil anything. So I
Oh,
just
are we
wanted
talking
to.
spoilers?
Everyone who's seen Ahsoka should be, here talking to us. Anyway, so I will go through the questions really quickly. Why don't we kick it off with toy anxiety? Craig?
Hey everybody, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Yes, Ahsoka was fantastic. Super exciting. Lots of possibilities. So my first question is, so there seems to be a lot of renewed energy in world building opportunities with the vintage collection, with the Rebel bunker, the N1, and obviously the Ghost. The throne room's coming. But we're still pretty far away from the glory days of retail shelves lined with vehicles and play sets. So with the ever-changing landscape of big box retail space, what would need to change or keep happening in the world of vintage collection sales in order to get more than 2 to 3 deluxe vehicles or play sets a year?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the landscape has changed, not just for us, like in the toy space, it's changed drastically for the entire world. So it's always fun to be nostalgic about what we had in the past. But I would say in general, we go based off of cues, based off of fan support, based off of your interactions, and based off of like the demand and the sales. So a good anchor for us is just seeing how you guys react to the items that we put out there. So if things are well received, and those are some recent successes, like you've mentioned, that we're really proud of and we love to see, just keep them coming, keep letting us know what you like. We definitely keep that in mind as we look at the future opportunities. It's hard to say about like what we had in the past, though. I think that would always be amazing. We'd love to go back to the 90s.
Yeah, I think Jing touched on it well, in that it's in response to what you guys do with the products we do put out. If you buy everything we put out, like you guys went for the N1 Starfighter, we're probably going to do more of that sort of thing. So I think it's just going to be that. Also, we've mentioned this before, but like you guys do such a great job of requests for figures and tracking votes and like what figures are most important for fans. I'd love to see more of that for vehicles and play sets and that sort of thing. I mean, that's just as valuable for us and just as impactful. So, yeah, to keep it coming, and we'd love to do more if you
Awesome.
guys want more.
Get ready for a bunch of the top 10 play sets we need from Hasbro next week.
That would be
Triggered
amazing.
by Chris.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would love to come in Monday morning to that. That would be
August
amazing.
24th. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Toying around, Kevin.
Hey, good to see you guys in San Diego. Long time listener, first time caller. For the Haslab, which is awesome. We just hit Ezra, but I love the card backs for those individual figures, and a lot of Star Wars collectors collect mint on card. Just they don't want to open stuff. Um, so for people who want to have both, one for display, one to, have a nice card, was there ever an option or like something in the works where it's like in the Haslab, you check an extra box and you can buy an extra set of uncarded figures? Because I would love to buy two. Obviously, that helps the campaign, but I'm not going to buy seconds. Who's going to buy an extra ship without the team, right? So that's kind of hard, even if I want two sets of figures. But also, if there's like mainline release for those figures, how far out are they, if they are available? And how long do I have to wait before I open the uncarded, or sorry, the carded figures? Just taming my expectations.
No, I
Thank
mean
you.
we love that you guys are asking these sort of questions. It's fun to see the interest and the energy around new ways to do things with Haslabs. We're always looking at new approaches and new things we can do. I mean, there's nothing like that going on with this one, but it's good data that'll inform future stuff maybe. But yeah, I think just keep thinking along those lines and sharing those thoughts. That's all great stuff for us to get feedback from you guys on.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, Chelsey, Boba Fett Fan Club. Good to see you again.
I'm so glad to see both of you, and obviously Craig and Kevin. Very good to meet you. So my question is there any truth to the rumor that there will be a huge wave of Black Series reissues?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We really can't speak to rumors in general unless it's told by us, official communications. But yeah, we currently don't have any plans to share for that. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Toy anxiety, we're back up to the top. It's a small group today, so I think we could, keep it going.
Motor through these, yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah, and by the way, I spoke to both of you, right? I think I might have been one of the first people at Comic-Con, right when the Ghost was revealed. That was just that was my moment of the weekend. That was so fun. The pandemonium around the Hasbro booth was so good. So congrats on the success of the
It
project.
was good for you guys. It made me a little nervous carrying that thing out with so many people around. I didn't want anything to happen there.
Right, you're kind of expecting the classic cartoon hold the cake.
Yeah, ball.
Fall down the stairs. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. So this is kind of an open-ended question, but I wanted you guys to maybe be able to speak on this as part of the team. What do you think is currently the biggest opportunity for growth in Star Wars action figures?
Probably I would say just with all the new entertainment that's happening and new fans coming in, I think that's really that's the groundswell that's going to carry Star Wars for a while and re-energize it. I mean, we see it all the time as new generations are introduced by their parents and grow up with Star Wars. This one's bringing in a whole new wave of energy from people that are being introduced to Star Wars for the first time that are adults. And I think that's a huge movement toward more excitement and more growth across all of it. So
yeah, and we're so excited that we partner so closely with Lucasfilm because they're putting out all these great shows, Ahsoka being the latest, but Young Jedi Adventure also that happened earlier this year. It's starting that preschool line as well for us. And I have a toddler at home as well. It's definitely starting them young and giving them exposure to great shows from Lucasfilm that, is continuing to happen. So
yeah, and we want to and try to support all different brackets of people in there that are coming into it. And like Jing said, with our preschool line is a great new addition, but then things that we're going to continue, I mean, retro and vintage collection and Black Series stuff, those are all super meaningful to different people in the community, and trying to grow all of those in their own ways to really shore up everything.
All right,
awesome.
Toying around.
Thank
Thank you, Craig. Toying around.
I'm muted. I'm a professional YouTuber. The role play items like helmets and lightsabers, 1-to-1 scale, is really great for collectors to display, or even cosplayers. Are blasters and more gun-looking type items kind of on the table, or are there any issues with making kind of replicas like that for fans?
Yeah, I mean, we've done blasters in different ways. We've done it with the Nerf armband. We have kid line items with it for sure. I think right now in the premium role play space, we're going to do helmets and lightsabers for obvious reasons. So we have no plans to do that in the premium role play space.
Gotcha.
All right, Chelsey, Boba Fett Fan Club.
Yes. So how do you kind of decide which items would be reissued? Like the prototype Boba Fett helmet that recently went back up for pre-order.
Yeah. Yeah, so reruns. For us, it's a mix of different things like demand for sure, but also on the logistics side, like capacity, what else we have in the line, what new things is coming out. So there are times when those opportunities for those reruns make sense and they come up and we do them. But it's definitely something we have to balance with what else we have in the line and just demand for an item in general.
Cool, cool. Would I be able to really quick ask a quick follow-up? Like, is there any are you getting information obviously from fan sites and that kind of thing when you're kind of looking into, or people who are saying on social oh, I wish I had gotten into collecting before so I could have gotten that, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Those definitely come in mind. The community is very vocal and just about what they hope to see come back, what they hope to see coming up, new figures or figures that need to be redone. Like we hear them all.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's a lot
it's
of us
all
that,
yeah.
yeah.
It's all part of the data that goes into those decisions we make and judge what the demand is. I mean, from social scraping to proprietary tools that we have in house, all that sort of thing goes in to feed that data. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's don't be quiet if you want something. That's it certainly does affect things.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I was excited to see the prototype Boba Fett helmet, as you may have imagined.
Yes. That one's cool. But yeah, it's also like to that point, it's a collaboration with retailers as well because they issue that rerun out there. Awesome. Toying around, Kevin.
Oh, mixing it up. Oh yeah, by the way, I wanted to say in San Diego, Chris, when you carried that ship out, it was crazy. You're like a rock star because people were up at the velvet rope, like with their phones out ready. So good job not dropping a giant prototype. But my question is for vintage collection, a lot of the Mandalorian figures, like you can put the helmet on the actual unmasked head. But I think some of the older ones, it was like a full head swap, where you just take
Yeah.
the whole head with the neck peg off. But with the new ones, when you put the helmet on, it kind of makes the head look a little bit bigger compared to the old method. Is this something the team is aware of and consider like just maybe
Yeah.
switching
No,
it back
it's
to the other way?
well, I think it's likely we'll continue to do both approaches. It just depends on what we're doing. What is kind of the more important thing with that figure.
Okay.
So like some figures, it's important we think to have the play of actually putting the helmet on the head and prioritizing a bigger hairstyle or a more accurately scaled head on there. But also having that play is going to drive the helmet size up a little bit.
Okay.
But then and then other times it's not so important to actually have the moment of putting the helmet on, and that's a great chance to do a swappable head helmet scenario. So it's all about just prioritizing like what's playable and what feels more appropriate at the time. And it can, and in some cases the helmet can get a little big, but it's we're still trying to like hit minimum wall thicknesses and all that sort of thing. But
Okay.
there's so many factors, especially on a TVC scale figure, where those differences become more and more noticeable. And we're aware of those, but like I said, prioritizing playability on some means a slightly larger helmet.
Mm.
But that same figure might come out later on a re-release or something with a swappable helmet version. There's all those sort of things we do.
Awesome. The Fennec Shan top tier vintage collection. Love it.
Nice. Thanks.
Cool. And yes, I like to keep you guys on your toes, apparently. But don't worry, we'll make sure everyone has their fair shot. Toy anxiety, Craig.
Yeah, no, that FedEx Shand is really good, and I know the Sabine on her speeder bike will be whenever that happens, because nobody is more sad than me that I can't go to Target right now and buy that because she rules. Okay, you guys kind of touched on this, but maybe you can expand on it a little bit in the last question. So basically, like the way it is with adult collectors now, like people like us or who are willing to put $500 on the table to get a ghost, we all started off as kids, and we had these really great, whether you started off with like vintage Star Wars or Power of the Force 2, you had these really expansive lines in the 70s and 90s. and 2000s that really kind of lended themselves towards the collector's mentality. So is it a priority for you and your team to ensure that the kids of today do become the collectors of tomorrow?
Yeah, 100%. It's on our minds. And in fact, like, we speak to you guys as a fan team. We have a kid team on Star Wars as well, like a whole separate group of us on the kid side, and Chris and I on the fan side, and, many more behind the scenes. So there's a lot of us. So it's constantly on our minds. We talked, like you mentioned, Craig, we talked a little bit about it with like Young Jedi Adventures, and Lucasfilm helping us bridge that gap with entertainment. But for us, having kid items out there, as well as our action figures that I think also can be targeted towards that kid audience, with parents buying it for the kids or seeing it down the aisle, to your point of buying it off the shelves off Target or Walmart or any of our core retailers. So those are something we always hope to strive for, and partnering with Lucasfilm and making sure that we keep building that community. I know that Chris and I, it makes our day when we go to San Diego Comic-Con and we see like those young fans come over with such enthusiasm, and cheers. And we know that like they're the future, because we know that that is what keeps the habit alive. So it's on our minds for sure. And we definitely want to keep building that community with the kid team as well.
If I could just do a quick little follow-up on that, and it'll take 2 seconds, but because Jake Stevens from Forlum Bazucas isn't here, I have to do this for him on his behalf, because I think he has the world record of asking it every time. But we do see other Hasbro brands like Ghostbusters and Marvel having a kids-focused action figure line, something 5 POA, lower price point. Do you find it can be a deterrent for kids with the price point, with no collector's line that is action figures? Is that something that gets at least discussed or talked about?
Everything gets discussed and talked about.
Okay, fair enough.
And thank you for keep bringing that up, and good representing for those that aren't
Well,
here.
he flew to England with his family, so I told him
okay. All right. It's all in the world of kids.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'd keep the dream alive for Jake.
Yeah, it's all those sort of things are constantly in discussions and on the table, because it is continuing to feed the pipeline of fans for the future. So yeah.
Right. Thank you, guys.
But we have a full group of kid team, for sure. We will always be sharing information back to them as well. So thank you for bringing that up. All right, Chelsey, Boba Fett Fan Club.
Yeah, so at San Diego Comic-Con, Chris and I, we talked a lot about the retro collection Book of Boba Fett figures, and like people from our site really loved reading the article and stuff all about kind of like the design process. I was wondering if there's any more of kind of like a solidified date for when those might be released, or if it's still kind of fall 2023. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say no specific time frame at this point. I think that was a reveal only, if I remember correctly. So we might be looking at maybe even early next year, honestly. So there's no specific time frame, but wanted to give you guys an update that might be coming early next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. All right, keeping you on your toes, Craig. You want to ask the next question?
Oh my gosh, cool. Yeah. Okay. So the Haslab program has kind of become the gold standard of crowdfunding. And that is a testament specifically to Star Wars. I think the Barge and the Razor Crest and now the Ghost are just unbelievable projects, and couldn't be happier as a fan and as a collector. There have been some other Haslabs that have struggled within Star Wars and other brands. And it kind of seemed like in those cases, maybe fan reaction did not quite match what the maybe brand teams or marketing teams thought. So, and I say this with the caveat that if a fan vote ever happened, I think the Ghost would have won. So I think you're 100% right on board. But is that a possibility in the future to get like a fan voting or poll for future projects on what folks are interested in? Because the thing I want is way out of left field and would never win, but I'd love to get the chance to vote for it, which would be something I want to I want a retro Haslab. I want a retro, like an enhanced version of an old playset, because I think, for what it's worth, that the retro stuff is the coolest stuff going on right now. But
Oh my god.
anyways, fan voting, is it ever on the table for these large projects?
By the way, your last comment just made you best friends with Chris.
It did. I was gonna say Jing has to take this one because all I want to do is talk about retro Haslab opportunities. Yeah.
There are so many.
Don't say it.
I have
I know
to.
what it
I have
is.
to. One of the funny things leading up to the Ghost is our channel convinced everybody that there was it was Ewok Village confirmed. So much so that people thought we did
love the Photoshop jobs that people were doing inside the empty display case.
Yeah.
So but I do love the Ghost, but yeah, I think that there's a really cool opportunity for something a little bit different with retro. But yeah, fan voting in general, I think, is a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, I would say, we think about everything that you guys throw out there. So when you have ideas, we love to hear them because we do think of them. So far, like, these Haslabs are just such large investments, and I don't know that we would get an official voting campaign out there, but we certainly, to your point, look at fan sites, look at comments, look at commentary and feedback that we hear from you guys, either, at events, at these interviews, or and anywhere really. So the community is so involved. We love that. We definitely want to keep those discussions coming, and we'd love to hear that from you guys as well. But I think, thank you for saying the Ghost would have won anyways. We'd like to think that. We were hearing from the fan sites. A lot of them are very excited about the Ghost, and that was one of their top choices. And it just made sense with the Ahsoka live action show came out rather. And still ongoing, so more to see. So yeah, that to us is why the Ghost just made a lot of sense. But if there are anything out of left field, we definitely love to talk to you. You and Chris can get a beer and talk for a couple hours. But yeah, it's going to be something we can definitely keep in mind if you guys keep the discussions alive.
Yeah,
awesome.
And like Jing said, it's unlikely we would ever do an official vote for a Haslab. But that doesn't mean you guys can't do that on your own sites. I mean, because if you guys are doing that and getting huge numbers and seeing something spike that is unexpected for you, we're paying attention to that too. I mean, that's part of the social scraping we do, and why we love our fan community so much for Star Wars is that you guys are that invested in doing that sort of thing. We pay attention to that, from vehicles to Haslabs to figures. We're watching.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, toying around, Kevin.
This one is more opinionated, I think. Just want to know between
Star Wars fans with opinions? Never.
Here? Chris and Jing, I just want to know how big fans you are of Carson Teva and how much money I should put aside for the eventual slew of action figures that you're going to put out in Vintage Collection and Black Series, because there's been none so far. And a character who's been in most of the new, if not all new, Favreau first shows. Just want to know how much should I budget for?
Yeah, he is a staple for sure. And we love Carson Teva too. He is, as you know, the actor in general is just so nice, and he's an approachable, amazing guy. And the fact that he's been such a staple throughout, like you said, entertainment recently, it's not really we can't address anything that hasn't been announced publicly, of course, but for us, it's just great to see him. Jokes aside, save all your money forever for him for figures. But no, it's just something that we will keep in mind if you guys keep telling us how amazing he is.
All right, we will. Thank you.
Yeah, there have been a lot of versions of him too. So if you guys want to do a poll on which version of Carson Teva you'd like to see us do,
I believe that would be called a poll. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll
all of them.
The answer is yes. Thank you.
Which one do you want? Yes. Boba Fett Fan Club, Chelsey.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for what I'm affectionately calling the Boba Fett Dream House to soon be released. But I was wondering, I saw that it had gotten delayed, obviously the Boba Fett Throne Room, not the Boba Fett Dream House. But I saw that it got delayed to September 15th, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, like, is there a reason you can divulge, or if you expect any further delays on that playset? Because, oh my God, I need it.
You know what? You're staying true to your name. I like how excited you are. You're counting down the days. It's only a couple weeks away. We are not aware of any other delays. So you should be getting that in your hands to play with very shortly. In terms of like delays happening, it does happen occasionally with either logistics or operations or whatever would it be. I think it was delayed just like a few weeks. But yeah, we definitely are just as excited for you guys to have it in hand and tell us all about how much you love it.
Yeah, and that just as an example, the one we had on display at San Diego, the convention, that was a full production piece. So that was just it's they're in production, or actually production is probably already done, but they're moving. So
Sure, makes sense. Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so are we. We're excited for it to start showing up on people's unboxing videos. Toy anxiety, Craig.
Yeah, I think this is my last one. So, one thing collectors do a lot of the time is make assumptions about business practices without knowing the ins and outs. I apologize on all of our behalf for doing that. But I do have kind of a question that hopefully will shed some light. So, what are the primary like revenue generators that determine annual budgets for vintage collection and Black Series? And we can keep it super high level because I know we'll probably have to. But like, as of for instance, if the Ghost is projected to sell 15,000 units, but ends up doubling that and sells 30,000, what kind of positive impacts does that financial gain have on the rest of the line for the fiscal year and the next year?
well, I mean, for specific examples like the N1 or the Ghost or anything that might be a spike on a sales curve, like that one, those tell us like, hey, fans are looking at these sort of things and maybe want more of these. But we have to cross-reference that data with, is the Ghost super meaningful on a spike? I mean, and we don't know if it's a spike yet or not. I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody go buy more. But if that's the case, is that because it's timed up with entertainment? Is that because there's pent up demand for the Ghost? All those sort of things. So it's all part of the data we pull in. But it's easy to say this. The more that people buy of specific things, the more likely we'll do more things like that in the future. Um, we we try and make sure that we're delivering a big, diverse line always with the budgets we have, and trying to make smart calls within that. So it might be that the overall budget doesn't change, but it might change the direction of where we focus within those budgets, if that makes sense.
Sure. And just tiny little follow up. You mentioned the N1 multiple times. So, was that an item that you guys thought would do pretty well, but maybe exceeded expectations?
Well, I mention it a lot because I love it and I worked on
It's
it.
amazing. Yeah. It's great.
There's
Like,
one
yeah,
hiding
so
right up
good.
here. But I mean, that's an example of a vehicle that did do well. But I think like vintage collection fans ask a lot about vehicles. Why I want more vehicles. I want more vehicles. I mean, if vintage collection fans keep buying vehicles that we do, whether that's a speeder bike or the N1 or an X-wing, I mean, all that sort of stuff goes into like, well, the more successes that there are, the more likely that we'll do more.
Sure.
So it's that sort of thing. I mean,
Awesome.
successes breed more. So
Cool. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right, toying around, Kevin.
Just wanted to ask quickly about some characters, like our expanded universe characters on the table, or just not a focus right now, and also maybe some of the sequel trilogy characters as well. Or is everything the main focus now kind of uh, original stuff and things that are in entertainment currently?
Well, to start, I just want to clarify, by expanded universe characters, are there ones specifically that you're looking for that we haven't done? Because we've done a lot. I mean, from Revan and gaming
Right.
characters, Mara Jade, Dr. Afra, like there's a ton of stuff that we do like
Oh,
that.
that's yeah, that's right.
That we are doing. Are there ones that you feel like are missing from that?
I never
That's one
want
of
to
my
give a
that's one of my
specific
follow-up
list
questions. Yeah.
because we don't have time for that. But yeah, even those like just the focus on it, not specific, like not just a few characters, but like are those always in rotation and also like sequel trilogy?
Yeah, all that
characters.
stuff is. I mean, Star Wars is a huge universe beyond just the core movies. I mean, and now we've got more and more current entertainment, and it's, I think, what's currently on TV, or if it was in a movie theater, what was in a movie theater, like all that stuff would kind of take precedence and be the top of the pile for
Mhm.
what we would be the focus. Like that's what's on people's minds at the moment. But Star Wars is deep and rich history. So whether that's classic trilogy characters or a new Finn figure, like all of that sort of stuff, like those are all things that are still in play. And we'll address them as we can and get them in. And when we do, it's looking at what fan sites have asked for, what people are looking for, what things on the aftermarket are rare and driving high volumes and a lot of people didn't get a chance to get. So we look at that sort of thing and trying to fill voids in people's collections and displays with new opportunities or old opportunities coming back.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Boba Fett Fan Club, Chelsey.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to give us an updated Finn and Poe with like new head sculpts, I'm all ready
Yes.
for that.
Justice for Poe Dameron. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
We did pipeline reveal a Finn figure in Vintage Collection, so
We need it in Black Series. Sorry.
I love how the line
everybody who doesn't get it, yeah.
No,
I like
know,
the grass in that yard. Yeah.
I love it, Chelsey. Go ahead.
So I was wondering kind of like how long does it take usually to like develop a figure? Like say in Ahsoka, a surprise appearance happens that Lucasfilm didn't like tell you about, like, and you know, you're trying to like get it out there as soon as possible. Like how long does that usually take? Like from the design process, and obviously you have to like create packaging and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's generally somewhere between 12 and 18 months. That I know that's a wide range. It depends on the complexity of what the thing is,
right?
And how much bandwidth we have at the moment to divert onto that path too. A lot of it's about when looking to the future, when there's an appropriate time to release that too. I mean, yeah, we want to do everybody that's new and a holdback character. We want to do them all as fast as we can. In some cases, like when Grogu first showed up in that first season of Mandalorian, that was a surprise to everybody. And what an amazing surprise. But the team at the time, they were spending nights and weekends and banged through that thing and really delivered product about as fast as is humanly possible. Because there's so much involved. But general bandwidth, if it's just a normal thing happening, 12 to 18 months for a normal figure, and probably closer to the 12 months, but it varies. It does. So
yeah, and I think that same timeline has been shared in the past. So it's just something that's why there's a range. It's something that we are constantly, working with.
And that can be, that range can be driven by a lot of different things, and that can be like whether that falls over a holiday where the factory's not working for 2 weeks, or whether there are shipping delays, or like all sorts of things can do that. We try for that 12 months. Sometimes that's 18 months, but we we look forward, and we've got project managers that help us figure out all those logistics and week to week things.
For sure.
Great. Well, I think that's all of the questions, but I think there was one thing we pipeline revealed in the earlier rounds of fan interviews, which I don't
and you
know
guys
that.
didn't ask.
Yeah, you didn't ask. So we are
didn't prompt
here.
us.
We're absolutely here to tell you as well. Chris, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah. So as we've answered a lot of questions today about the Ghost and the Haslab. The one question you guys didn't ask is about figures. A lot of people have been asking about the figures and the card backs in the Ghost. So we know that what we've done there is we've told a great story with those mural card backs. And I know there are a couple of obvious missing crew members on those mural card backs from the mural, but we are pipelining today for you guys that we are going to address those. If we get to 17,000 backers on the Haslab, so if Kanan at 14 and then Zeb at 17 do get backed, then we're going to address both Chopper and Sabine on a mural card back the same way that those other figures have been done. It won't be part of the Haslab. It'll be outside of the Haslab and available for a separate purchase. But we want to make sure that fans can complete that mural set. So yeah, that'll be outside of the Haslab. More info to come on that later, but wanted to make sure that everybody knew we didn't want to put those in and kind of firewall them, trap them behind higher tiers, and really make it a struggle to get there for people. We felt like 17 was a good, strong number to shoot for the Haslab, and then to still be able to deliver those things for everybody seemed really important. So surprise!
That's awesome. That's
So I
really,
do
really
need to
awesome.
buy two. is what you're saying.
Now you need to buy two.
That was my first question.
I mean, imagine
We're
people are
full
gonna
circle.
when those two come out, people are gonna need those other three. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
Really cool.
and for us, we obviously hear the fan community, and there's a lot of questions about that, so we wanted to address it directly, and I think the fan interviews is a great way to do that. But 17,000 with Zeb, that is our goal. It would be amazing to complete that full mural collection of it as a separate purchase, as Chris mentioned. But yeah, go back the Ghost. Get the Ghost, at HasbroPulse.com. And the other thing is, we will also, as a quick little slide in, is next week we also have an Ahsoka live stream. So if you guys want to join us, that just got announced maybe like a day or so ago. But if you want to join us for Ahsoka themed revealed live stream next week, it's Tuesday. Please do, and tell your friends and family and fans. But yeah, we're excited to talk more Ahsoka at that time as well.
Sweet.
Very exciting.
Very
All
cool.
right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I know it takes time out of your day. We love chatting with you about all things Star Wars. But yeah, I'm sure we'll chat soon. There's more to come for Ahsoka. Keep watching those episodes. Keep backing the Ghost. And then we'll definitely catch up soon, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.